Greetings, fellow colonizers. Rhadamant here. Thank you for tuning in to Frostpunk 2, Episode 6, Colonizing the Dread. The New Londoners have proposed the main district produces a small amount of prefabs, and I'm just going to allow them to vote on it. Because they hold so many seats in the council, it's going to pass. And that now means that my generator district will produce prefabs, which is great. I love it. That's an excellent measure. All right, I did want to make one more industrial district, and I almost... Yep, there we go. I have the prefabs for that. Oh, you know what? Where should I put it, though? I would like it to border... I can't have it border 3. So, yeah, maybe I'll just have it border 2. I'll have to do a little frost breaking first. Here, I'm going to clear the frost out of this area. So what I'm going to do here for this new industrial district is leave a weird hole in there. And the reason is I'll eventually put a hub in there, a goods stockpile hub, reducing the neighboring demand, workforce demand for industrial districts by 10%. So for 100 workforce, I'll reduce neighboring demands by way more than that, as you'll see in just a moment here. So this is the first hub I'll build. So I'll put a goods hub here, and it's reducing the workforce requirements. It's not perfect, because it would be best if it triple covered this area, but it will cover the 2 industrial districts I'm setting up now. So now with this hub, I can store more goods, and the workforce is decreased by 10%, and by another 10%. So now, 20 fewer people. It's a net of minus 20. So it's like 100 here and minus 60 and minus 60. So it's pretty good. And this will be manufacturing goods as well. And then if we expand that, I should be in the goods positive for the first time ever. Ah, -1. All right, that's fine. All right, continuing with the houses. I'm looking for my most bang for my buck, for where I can expand housing. So this is already a high rise. It doesn't expand anymore. Same with this one. So this housing project can expand. 1, 2, 3. It's 10% of 600, but twice over, because it affected 2 districts. So it's 10% of 1,200 instead. You can think of it that way. They want a law regulating funeral soon. How's the game? Is it cool? Is it good? No, the game is cool. Yeah, very cool game. It's pretty chill. I see good things in the future for it. Almost everyone housed. Oh, Frostland team is done. So, what did it find? It found the Imperial Freighter, a materials outpost, and a stockpile of coal. I'm going to leave the stockpile of... I'm actually still in the negative, so I'm going to take the stockpile of coal and just, go way over max. You're allowed to go over max, but you can't add any to the maximum. So it's just one big, giant pile of coal that we're going to have. It's going to be silly. I like how it's saying new deposits needed, even though I don't need them because I've been stockpiling coal from outside the map. Oh, and right as I was about to solve our homeless crisis, freaking 2,000 more people moved in. All right, so instead of doing funeral rules, oh, we still can't do outsiders. Okay, so I'll do funeral rules, and we're gonna do harvesting funerals. It's not cannibalism. It's for like healthcare body parts. So it's organ donation. The issue with this is I might not get it passed, so I'm going to negotiate again with the New Londoners, and I will promise to enact mass-produced goods if they vote for this. And mass-produced goods allows me to make more goods more efficiently, which will help for me to stockpile my goods.
The measure passes.
So the next measure I'm going to propose is mass-produced goods, which will help with this goods deficit. Also, can people stop moving in? I'm like super having a hard time putting roofs over everyone's heads. It's the other thing I could do here. Oh, it got colder. This time around I'm going to put on a toque rather than a scarf. There we go. The other thing I could do is to start frost breaking over to these crevasses here. Which I think I'm going to do. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. So I'm going to put houses over here, which will have a bonus to shelter. I'm also a bit in the food negative. And I am going to research chemical hothouses in a second here. So heading over to resources, to hothouses, I'm going to research the chemical hothouses that the New Londoners like, which is a progress tech rather than an adaptation tech. Sue Miller, 12 years old and a pupil. Mandatory school promises a better future for the children in the city. You're welcome. Now get on the bus. All right, once I have 200 prefabs and 40 heat stamps, I'll build a house in that crevasse. Also, I am running out of prefab extractions, which is important to note, but I'm not worried about that just yet. Frostland teams is done. I keep neglecting them. Is there anywhere to survey? Too dangerous, too dangerous. Too dangerous. Coast? Nope, too difficult. I think I'm out oh no, I can go up here to the frozen sea. Alright, housing district in the frozen crevasse. So 3 here gives plus 20 heat and plus 10 shelter. Little like remote chalet type things. And then the most bang for the buck is to have 2 houses at least adjacent to one another for like adjacency bonuses. So I think this crevasse has 3 more units. So that's the plan.
Stuart.
Program war, mandatory school. Stuart, people are increasingly arguing over the curriculum. So we have a choice here. I can focus on survival training, which is improves relationship. So the mandatory school provides food instead of research speed and improves relationships with Frostlanders and Pilgrims, or concentrate on science. which increases research speed even more, or a balance, which is everyone's upset. So in this case, I'm actually going to side with the Frostlanders to provide food instead of research speed, to slightly improve relationships with them. Basically, I'm not always siding with New Londoners and siding with the Stalwarts. In some instances, I will side with the other so they don't radicalize them. So when it makes the most sense, you'll see me side with the adaptation. Council, survival, and mass-produced goods. So goods production efficiency is increased, and all of New Londoners want this, so it's going to be really easy to pass. So this was the promise I made to the New Londoners voting for mandatory school. Or no, for body harvesting. 77.4, easy peasy. And now my goods production is like just about broken even. Really, really close. But I have like almost 2,000 people unemployed. So definitely going to want to get employment for them. All right, houses is good. Here's the new housing district. And because of the crevasse, the stable crevasse, it supplies more houses than a normal district. So I even have excess housing. Plus it looks really cool that it's like on the mountainside. The last prefab is about to run out of material. So we're going to want another industrial district. And the new industrial district will start making prefabs from scratch. Cheers. So here we go. There is... Where can I place this? I'm trying to maximize the adjacency bonuses. 1, 2... Yeah, I'm going to frost break here to place it around this area. Okay. Our last prefab extractor is dead. I'm going to recycle it. And now I have to start making our prefabs from scratch. Now, that's not entirely true because we did pass the law that has our central district make some prefabs, right? That was this one here. Oh, city, community service, main district produces a small amount of prefabs. So the community service can reduce heat demand, increase heat stamps per capita, decrease exploration time, or create prefabs. And we have passed the creating prefabs. But the 5 a week is not enough, so I want to increase that up a bit. So the next thing I want to do is we have excavated all the way out to a new logistics location, and the next project I want to do is to put in another logistics district out there so that we can have more Frostland teams working at a given time, which will allow us to establish more trade routes and also to set up a new colony. So that's the sort of overarching goal once we get additional prefab manufacturing. Yes, let's expand this way. The city has made progress towards steps towards the progress cornerstone. So this brings me to the cornerstones. Down here, I have the 3 progress versus adaptation, merit versus equality, and reason versus tradition. And we've made progress towards progress. All right, that's a little confusing. But as you adapt laws and research, you make progress towards specific goals. So we're making strides towards progress. I also did mention that I wanted a chemical hothouse. So I'm going to install the chemical hothouse somewhere that has a deep deposit of food, which is up here. Which is unfortunate, because this is also the least insulated of all of my chemical hothouses. But, oh well, whatever. And the logistics district only needs 200 prefabs. Which is easy now, because my industrial district is making 12 of them per week. We can pass another law, so let's go ahead and do that. So, we already have all of the laws for survival passed that are not locked. For city, we don't have basic necessities or contagion prevention. For society, we've done all of them. And I don't need to pass any rule laws. So the rules are a bit different. Regular things is by a 50% majority, whereas rules is 2/3. So if I wanted, for instance, to be able to quell protests with my guards, I would need to pass this by 2/3. Right now, 41 is for it. What I might want to do is to further my support of the majority, further my support of the New Londoners and the stalwarts, so that I can consider passing laws that are more difficult, like guard enforcers or guided voting. So guided voting allows me to put my thumb on the scale as the steward, and instead of negotiating with individual factions, use trust that I've built up to tip the scales in my favor. So to that end, let's try to make the New Londoners and the stewards a little happier by passing a paid essentials necessity law. So heat stamps per capita will increase and production efficiency will increase. But not everyone is for it. So I'm going to negotiate again with the New Londoners. And I am going to agree to research and hold a vote of machine-centric shifts. Now, what's really nice, trying to build one faction to be the most populous, is I don't have to negotiate with too many factions. So if I wanted, if every faction was like 25% large, and I wanted to try to pass something, I would have to negotiate with 2 factions. So one of the reasons why I have not been taking in these Frostlanders out here is if I grew the Frostlanders faction, by percentage, the New Londoners would be smaller. And then they would have less influence in the council, and I would have to then negotiate a lot more. So I've been doing this so that I don't have to negotiate so much. So they wanted me to research machine-centric shifts, which is up here, which is both supported by New Londoners and stalwarts. And I agreed to research it and hold a vote, but not that it would necessarily pass. All right, Frostland team is just about done. So they found a diseased stockpile of food. We can always leave that out there if we get really desperate for food. Like if we're starving, we'll grab it. And exiles of Frostlanders. Sorry, but no. For the remaining Frostland teams I have, I am going to start to establish a... So where I dug out the exit over here, I'm going to start to establish a route from my city up to the old dreadnought. So creating a path from New London to the old dreadnought, and then eventually the dreadnought to the material stockpile, because I wouldn't mind having this giant Imperial freighter full of 2,400,000 materials. That sounds amazing to me.
Steward.
Chemical synergy. The chemical house I built, plus the chemical additives, has a synergy, which it produces more food. So if we take a look at the food hothouse that I built, which is over yonder, it has a synergistic effect here, which is really good. I'm producing tons of food here now. So all of the needs up here are met. The only thing that isn't exactly met is crime, because the city is now up to 16,000. So for me to reduce crime, I would need more guards, which is definitely something I'm going to be researching soon. All right, Frostland teams now have created that path. In order to start establishing a colony of the old dreadnought, I need at least 20 Frostland teams. So instead of that, I am going to create a path from... I'm going to try to create a path out to the Imperial freighter. It's just really mountainous. Actually, I don't think I can until I colonize here. So let's actually colonize the old dreadnought. Let's pull the trigger on that. So I'm going to stop the team importing coal from the settlement mine. And I am going to send colonists to the old dreadnought. Because not only that, but it will also solve the overpopulation of New London. Because it will take 3,000 people from New London and ship them over to the old dreadnought to colonize the old dreadnought. And colonizing the old dreadnought required 100 prefabs and also a core. So I did use one of my 5 cores up in doing that. Okay, on top of all of that, I did mention wanting a new logistics. But what ended up happening as soon as I shipped everyone over, as you can see, my economy up here is totally askew. Because 3,000 people just, like, vacated all of a sudden, right? So, let's readjust things. What I'm going to do is turn off this food. Actually, I'm going to turn this on. And turn off a different one. I'm going to turn off this food district. And boost the food here. Got it. And then ramp this food district down. No, actually, I can turn that off. Or leave it to a bare minimum. There. Materials. I'm going to lower our material gathering. I'm going to lower goods a little bit. Which will allow me... turn that goods off. Or almost off. And then lower materials even more. Actually, I'll turn that off. And what I'm doing is trying to free up free workforce so that they can get employed at the logistics district. All right, this high-rise housing I can totally shut down. Actually, you know what? I want to shut down the house that requires the most heat. So this housing district here has the research institute, so I'm going to leave that up and running. So this one I'm going to shut down because it required the most heat, because it doesn't have any adjacency bonuses. And then I'm going to partially shut down a bunch of the other ones. Okay, so now housing, food, materials, and goods are all kind of back to normal levels that we shipped 3,000 people out. And that's going to allow me to create an industrial district as soon as I get a little bit more prefabs. Now, I do know that my coal is completely plummeting in freefall. Not worried about it just yet. But I just want to let you know my eye is on it.
Has been reduced. This week only.
All right, back to a logistics district. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And this will put 15 more out in the Frostline map. All right, I research machine-centric shifts, so my trust with New Londoners, or trust rises and New Londoners improve. And I didn't promise to hold a vote on that. Oh no, they're voting on it now. I am not going to negotiate for this, so it's probably going to pass. But whether it passes or not, I don't really care. Yep, it passed. By a 9 margin. So, machine-centric shifts, if we take a look, decreases the workforce requirement, but does increase squalor. Alternatively, there is a weather-centric shifts that didn't pass. So now there's even fewer people working, which is kind of nice.
People of the city, your council has voted.
And the stalwarts are now devoted to me. I've done so many things that the stalwarts have loved that the relationship with them is maxed. And they might start holding rallies in support of me, which would be great. I would love that. Cutthroat economy. So, we have paid essentials. And what I think I'm going to do is the benevolent thing, which is paid essentials provides less heat stamp income rather than to have people fend for themselves. So allowances for needy granted. Alright. With the second extraction district, as you can see, there's now 2 paths out. One here and one there. I can put the Frostland team back to collecting coal, so we're not in a total coal freefall. And then... reduce... oh, no, that's the wrong facility. Reduce the amount of people working there so that it needs fewer materials and heat. Alright. Everything's looking pretty good. I think what I'm actually going to do is to switch this production facility from goods to prefabs and ramp it all the way up. Because I have some stockpiled goods. I have goods that will last for 44 weeks. So I'm just going to make a whole lot of prefabs instead. Stockpiling my prefabs up fast so that I can build up the new dreadnought once we get the new dreadnought up and running. And the second faction no longer has a red bar, yeah. Because I kept promises and did focus on survivalist education, they're no longer pissed at me, which is great. We don't necessarily want them to radicalize. So there's relationship and fervor. So the difference between them is relationship is like, you know, how much they like the direction of the city. The fervor is how militant they've become. So when you have a faction that has high fervor, they'll start protesting, rioting, and eventually a full-on civil war. So you really don't necessarily want to whip them up into a fervor, if you can help it. I do have squalor growing, so I am going to build a ventilation tower to counter that. So I'm going to build a ventilation tower where my high-rise district is, to put my 2 construction buildings in the same district. So I'm never going to turn off my this high-rise housing because it has the research institute. So I'm just going to install the vent tower there to counter the increasing squalor. And at the moment, I'm just stockpiling heat stamps and prefabs for when we've got the old dreadnought up. Now, there's one thing I wanted to do, which is Frostland research for Scouts headquarters. And I am going to, again, side with the Frostlanders because I like the survivalist headquarters, which reduces the territory threat level instead of reducing... So the other one reduces... Actually... No, they both reduce the territory threat level, so never mind. I'm going to side with the New Londoners. I was thinking of the next research, which we'll get to, which is here. Sorry, I got ahead of myself. And the reason for that is we're not going to be able to safely scout any of these dangerous areas without our scouts being better equipped. Because if you scout out these dangerous areas, a certain percentage of your scouts will become injured or dead. And if you keep getting dead scouts, it's going to piss everyone off. Like, nobody wants random scouts, you know, a certain percentage of your population dying due to exploration. So we're definitely going to need to make exploration more safe so that we don't enrage the factions.
The steward appreciates all your adoring letters and will answer personally in due time.
I am going to make a promise to the New Londoners. I am going to promise to research heat overclocking. And this gains more of their trust. It's just a random promise. Pilgrims are like, nah, we don't need that. But, you know, I don't care what the pilgrims say. They can bite me. Except for they probably don't believe in toothpaste, so I don't want them to bite me. I don't need, like, to get infected. And pretty soon here, old Dreadnought will be colonized. So as you can see, it has a white bar here that loads. So in 15 weeks, we'll have a second colony. Yes, you manage more than one colony in Frostpunk 2. You can manage actually many. Much more than just the two. Okay. Oil deposits discovered. So if we double click over here at Old Dreadnought, this is Old Dreadnought. This is the same map from the prologue. And it's laid out slightly different, but it has its own heating needs, its own housing needs, its own goods needs, everything. If you mouse over this, you can click the resource transfer. So I can transfer coal and food and goods from New London over to this Old Dreadnought so that it has fuel enough to turn on its generator so people don't immediately freeze. Now what I want to do here is start exploiting the oil here. There are giant deposits of oil, and this will be, this is the goal, is to exploit the oil here and ship it back to New London. So let's frostbreak around the Dreadnought, and then frostbreak the oil. Down here is sheltered from the wind, so there is, apart from building directly around the Old Dreadnought, there's a benefit from building like in this crevasse. So I'm going to want to frostbreak down there because that will be a really good place to put my housing. And then let's also frostbreak, because I wouldn't mind just like extracting the prefabs around here as well. So we'll frostbreak around the prefabs and then towards the other oil deposits.
Steward.
Visions of our future. Steward, everyone in New London is awaiting the moment we get a steady supply of oil. So many fears would vanish, so many dreams made possible. But those dreams seem to be diverging. Stalwarts paint a vision of an eternally warm New London, as warm as only the eldest among us remember. But the Pilgrims want us to use this newfound power to reach out and settle remote places on the Frostland, making it our own. Are the Pilgrims just Luddites? No, they're not Luddites. They have, they do believe in equality, whereas the Stalwarts believe in merit. So the Stalwarts believe in reason, merit, progress, and the Pilgrims believe in tradition, equality, and adaptation. So they have, I wouldn't call them Luddites so much as they want to be adapted to the cold, Oh, and more people are now living in New London. So what I'm going to do here is actually transfer people from New London to Old Dreadnought. So I'm going to transfer 1,500 people from New London to Old Dreadnought because I intend to really ramp up production of oil in Dreadnought. And I need a lot of people living in Dreadnought to do that. So all the people that just immigrated to New London, I've just sent them right on over to New Dreadnought. Or to Dreadnought, not New Dreadnought. It takes them a little bit to get there, but obviously I'm going to have insane shelter, food, and good requirements when they arrive, which I will be aiming to resolve. Also, all of the scouts that were helping settle New Dreadnought, or Old Dreadnought rather, I am going to put them to work. So I'm going to create a trail so that I can start exploiting this material supply. And I don't think that there's anything to scout with the 12 remaining, so I might not keep them employed. Although, you know, I have a bunch of people that... Yeah, there's nowhere else for the rest of the teams to go. So let's whittle down that workforce down to 0. So I'm shutting down one of my logistics districts because I don't need it running anymore. Or at least not at the moment. I'm also going to start stockpiling goods because I'm going to need them very soon. And Old Dreadnought started with a stockpile of oil, but it's dwindling. Alright, let's see here. I don't really want... Well... Actually, yeah, no, that'd be alright. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to have the oil also benefit from adjacency to the generator. And I would like the fabrication extractors to do the same. So I'm going to do some more frost breaking over here so that the fab extraction can also get generator and oil extraction adjacencies. And then I need to start frost breaking all of the crevasse down here because I'm going to need shelters really, really soon and urgently. As soon as the researched Scouts headquarters is done, I'll research heat overclocking. I still have some time left on the clock for that, so keeping an eye on that. And here we go with the first shelters. Except for I don't have the prefabs yet. Which is exactly why I'm doing the prefab extraction. Alright, now that the people just moved in, as you can see, my shelter needs are even more ridiculous, as is the goods and foods needs. So we'll import even more food from New London. And more goods from New London. One thing to take note of is up here. At the top, there's a total amount that the trails between Old Dreadnought and New London can handle. So you can only import and export so much stuff until the trails become clogged. So the other thing I'm going to do, because New London is almost maxed out on materials, is import as much materials from New London as I can to stockpile it here in Old Dreadnought, maxing out the trails. It's also prompting me to research skyways, which allows you to transport even higher volumes. Alright, so another thing is the materials. We are now shipping from the Imperial Freighter at 200 per week. So I really don't need a lot of material production in New London anymore, as we are importing an incredible amount of materials straight from that trade ship. The people that are living here, I'm going to start turning on the coal mining again. But not maybe the blasting mine. I don't think I need that. Also, let's fertilize the soil so that I get a surplus of food too. Alright. Jumping over to new dreadnought, or old dreadnought. Man, I keep getting those names confused. We were waiting on housing, and I need more prefabs for that. So I just gotta wait. So the good news is now, we are producing oil in old dreadnought. And I'm going to reduce the amount of oil production so that I don't completely fill up my surplus.
Attention, a new shipment of mail has just arrived.
Scouts headquarters is researched, so we're going to go and fulfill the promise of researching heat overclocking. So there's two choices. Heat recycling, which reduces heating demands in housing districts, or heat overclocking, which increases production efficiency. So, production efficiency. Come on. Just a little bit more prefabs for the housing. There we go. So the first house is going to be 3 into the sheltered from wind and then out this way. And then the second housing project will be inside the sheltered from wind entirely. And we'll just keep frost breaking this crevasse area so that we can put sheltered homes in there as much as we are able. Thank you for tuning in to Frostpunk 2, which originally streamed live on Twitch September 21st. If you have any feedback or questions for me, let me know in the comments below, but please keep in mind that I'm trying to avoid spoilers. If you would like to catch a live stream of mine, Rhadamant.com has my stream schedule and countdown timers to upcoming streams. If you would like to join my online gaming community on Discord, Rhadamant.com has a link to it, as does the description of this video. Thank you so very much for watching, and a special thank you to my Patreon patrons, Twitch subscribers, and viewers like you that support the channel and made it all the way to the credits. Thank you so very much. I hope to catch you next episode or an upcoming stream. Farewell, my fellow survivors.